Hi, folks. How you doing? You doing good? That's great. My name is John Bailey, and this is the Wellspring digital chat series where, through the dark arts of demonic possession, we go out and psychically infiltrate the brains of some of the smartest marketers around. We pull out all the good stuff. We share it with you. There's no real damage done. Maybe down the road some psychological damage, but it's minimal. So I've been watching a lot of Stranger Things, and I think it's starting to really affect my my day-to-day thinking. So I apologize in advance for that. Anyway, I've been following Melissa Fach for, oh my God, years and years and years. I've been reading her stuff since I've been in this digital marketing game. She's been a trusted SEO resource for me for many years, and I think you'll see why in our chat. So, no pressure, of course, to deliver. But welcome, and please take a moment to introduce yourself to these fine folks.
Okay, I guess I've been in the SEO game since 2007 or 8. I started off blogging like all of us did, and learning. Around 2010, SEJ came to me and was like, hey. So I worked with SEJ, and I worked with Moz and Authority Labs and Semrush, and PubCon. So I've always been in the SEO realm. Mm-hmm. And about at the end of 2020, I left and for the first time went in-house enterprise with Cox Automotive, which owns 22, I think, auto companies. So I mostly work with Kelley Blue Book and Auto Trader. Best move I ever made. Very excited. I should have done it a long time ago.
Well, that's awesome. And it's a twofer for me because I'm a total car junkie. I love looking up older cars on Auto Trader. I actually have the app just so I can go on there and look up all the cars that I will never buy, but can dream of buying. And much to my wife's dismay, I am completely addicted to car restoration shows, and I watch them constantly, and it drives her insane. She'll come home from work and she'll say, I'll say, what do you want to watch? And she says, anything but car shows. And that's pretty much an every evening event, but it's a problem. Anyway, I get to talk cars and SEO with Melissa. So more on the SEO side, of course. And I'm really excited.
I don't think a lot of people know that I'm a car dealer's daughter.
Oh, I did not know that.
I grew up in our family. You started working at 11.
Nice.
Over the summer.
Love
so
it.
I've been in the car dealerships from a young age.
Man, it's in your blood.
The Honda yellow and black Honda CRX. Man, I wanted that car.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yes.
So my brother wanted the Prelude. So yeah, I've been around cars for a long time. Always loved cars. So not the classics like you so much, but
no, I like the older Hondas and Toyotas too. I actually I totally geek out over my first car was a Datsun 1982 Datsun 210 station wagon. It was a great little car. It was fun.
Mine was a Dodge Daytona. The rule was you work all summer, you raise your money, you buy your own car. We didn't just
nice.
You're not given. You buy your used car and screw it up, and eventually we'll get you a nice one. So yeah, cars in the blood, so it was a perfect fit to it. So
well, that's awesome. Well, I'm really excited to jump into this, and there's been some crazy changes in the whole car world that we're gonna certainly get into here. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. All right. So I read in a recent GoFishDigital.com post that on average, car buyers spend about 12 hours searching the internet when looking to purchase a vehicle, which seemed a little low to me, actually. And maybe that's because I'm addicted to Auto Trader. But do you have any specific stats on this? And I'm curious what you see in terms of car buyers and their online research habits these days.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole data department. And they say about the same thing, about 12 and a half hours. I think it's different depending on the buyer. New buyers kind of know what they want. The problem is because of the chip shortage, there's not as many vehicles available. So they're having to, or the budget, cars are selling for so much more than what they were. So it's like, okay, I wanted this one, but I can't afford it. I need this size. And then they really want to know a lot, especially now, about fuel efficiency. What are the features of the car? The new vehicles that are coming out. Should they wait? Should they not? Maybe I'll just wait for this PHEV I love, that kind of thing. But for the used car buyer, it's really complicated because the cars are selling for so much and you're having to get more miles on a vehicle than you would have ever considered in the past. And then also, what are the features? So we see a lot of digging for what is this feature is it available in this trim? Or what does this trim mean? And then we have to break it down for them. Okay, with this trim, you get X, Y, Z, or this is optional. So you can look for it, or, so I think the buyers are far more educated than they were before. So we're constantly trying to provide all the information for different kinds of buyers.
I mean, I remember when the Kelley Blue Book was an actual book, which was many moons ago. But
Right.
I mean, now it is amongst hundreds, if not thousands, of websites out there that are deep resources. For anyone looking to buy a car. So, can you give us a glimpse, into what it might take to keep a site like Kelley Blue Book relevant and visible with all these other sites out there right now, and all of this information everywhere?
I think we're very blessed in that our SVP, Mike Wolf, believes in SEO and supports the SEO effort.
That's a huge benefit. Yes.
Huge. We don't have to go in and battle about anything because he is there for us. And it's like, SEO needs this. So that's huge. We also have our senior director is Tessa Natick. She has handpicked everybody on our team. We have a phenomenal team of experts in different areas so that everything technical is covered. For both Kelley Blue Book and for Auto Trader, we have listings, we have informational pages, we have editorial content. So all of it, we have experts for everything. We have great engineering teams. We have data teams that fill us full of information. Okay, let's go this way. Let's go that way. Authority is key, as we know, in all things, which means having the best of everything and everyone so that we can create pages and content that are the best. But then you have an SEO team like us that we're constantly monitoring. And competitive research is massive in this field because, as you know, the automotive industry, there's tons of competitors.
Sure.
Monitoring consumer interests and how that changes, also something that the SEO team pays attention to all the time. So, when people say, well, you want to meet the intent of the consumer, that sounds easy, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Because consumers are different. We created Best Cars for Tall People. That has been so crazy successful because men with long legs, like, I don't know if you know Brian McDowell, he's like 6'5", Lauren Baker, 6'5". Like, they can fit in my vehicle, but that is a huge factor. So you have to meet different intents, and then you have the tech savvy, and then you have so it's a constant, we don't have personas, but we're constantly engineering and planning for that. There's just a lot to it, which is why we have a large team and a large engineering team and a large editorial team. Luckily, we're all supported by the company. So
is something like Google EAT something that factors into what you guys are doing from an editorial standpoint, or even from a technical SEO standpoint, or do you think that that's just kind of restating the obvious that, yes, we've always known this, Google, thank you, but we've always known that Google EAT is hugely important?
It's huge. EAT and YMYL constantly discussed. Okay, because a financial decision of buying a car is a big one. If you're going to spend 40 grand of your money and be paying out over 5 years, like, a good example of this is the BMW X5 PHEV. Okay, great vehicle. Does not have a spare tire. Okay. Some sites are reporting spare tire. No, there, because of the batteries, there is no spare tire. You have run flats. Some people don't know what a run flat is.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, it's the little things that are educating the consumer to the little nitty gritty point. And here I am in SEO, and I know the little fine details of the car because I'm the one checking. Right. But we have a full team of fact checkers and editorial people that are fantastic and know everything about cars. And I learn from them, but I see it on other sites. I see mistakes all the time. Does Google know to that level? I don't know. But we're not going to be responsible for promising something in a vehicle that isn't there if they're making an investment.
I think that's the like, does Google know to that level? It's like everybody's like, we think, maybe, not sure, but let's err on the side of caution and make sure that we, dot our I's and cross our T's.
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic especially was a total boon for car dealers. I mean, first of all, why do you think that is? And what can they do to keep that up as we move into, I don't even know if we can call it a post-pandemic reality, but
okay, well,
the dust settle period.
It was a unique time, and there's two things that happened, because we actually bought a vehicle April of the year of the lockdown. Okay.
Wow.
What happened is, everybody panicked. People had no money. They were money hoarding, panicking. The car dealers panicked, and they wanted to sell cars quick. Like, we bought a truck that would cost $17,000 more before the lockdown, right? They were just dumping vehicles to get them off the lot.
Right.
And then, so that was kind of great. But then what happened is everybody started moving. You had the big cities, people that never needed a car. They lived in a small apartment, and they were going to be locked in 1,200 square feet with 2 kids and 2 dogs. And we're like, no. So, for example, stats are that 3 million people moved to Florida in the pandemic.
Wow.
I can tell you that there is no walking to the grocery store here. Okay. You drive for everything. So you had a lot of people who were like, well, I need a car. Even in the cities, a lot of people were saying, I don't want to ride in an Uber. I don't know if they have COVID. So people were buying cheap vehicles to get around themselves. So there was a lot of factors that created all of that. That has come to a screeching halt because of the chip shortage. Because vehicles, I believe it was like 2.1 million less vehicles were made in the past 12 months because
that's crazy.
The chip shortage, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's talking, electric cars. Yeah, but not all of them are coming out. And if they do, you're going to spend a premium right now to get them. So a lot of people are like, you know what? I just bought a really expensive home to move. Interest rates are high. We're going to free spending for a little bit. I think we're going to have that for the next 12 to 18, maybe 24 months, depending on, they say the chip shortage is lessening, but even so, the manufacturers, I read on Auto News yesterday, they're cutting back lines of their cars because even with the chip shortage reduction, there's still not enough to make cars like they used to.
Right.
So there's going to be a difference for a while.
I mean, and it's not just cars. You see it across a ton of industries where, it was boom or bust. They were either crushing it during the pandemic, and now they're like, what do we do now? So, I mean, and I'm not here to say that digital marketing is the answer, but I think, and maybe I'd love to hear your opinion on this. I think that, if you have a strong digital marketing strategy, it gives you a leg up. And I think it allows you not to be able to tell the future, but to prepare for, multiple scenarios, multiple outcomes.
Right. Like if you can't find a way to pivot, you're going to have a problem. I'm not necessarily going to say what we're doing to pivot, but we're pivoting to maintain customer interaction. So when the time is there that they're going to get the car, they're ready to come back to our sites. But we are, that's for a minute, I told my boss, I'm like, how do I pivot now with no cars to talk? I mean, I can talk about cars, but the cars aren't available.
Right.
And so we have found strategies, and it took a lot of me just reading, staring, studying trends, predicting to pivot.
Right.
Because the bottom line is the company has to make money.
Yeah.
And so that would be the big thing. If you pivot, if you can't pivot, then you're in trouble in digital marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the rules are always changing. I mean, Google recently rolled out a pilot program where car dealers can show their listings directly on their Google business profile, which used to be called Google My Business, because Google likes to change the names of things constantly. But that's a whole nother topic area. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this pilot program, and if you think it's a good thing, and do you think it will last and possibly expand into other markets?
Can I rant?
Oh, please. Yes, this is a rant friendly zone.
Okay.
Rant on, sister.
Not necessarily even about this particular topic, but Google as a whole and what they're doing with car dealers is infuriating to me. Okay. So beyond that, we have let's just say you do a basic year, make, model search. Okay. You're going to have ads all the way across the top that the dealers now have to pay for.
Yep.
You're going to have the map with maybe 3 listings. Now, in the past, if you search for a car, they're going to show you dealers in your area. Mm-hmm. That's how it worked. We all knew local search was huge. They have removed that with car dealers. So now there's 3 people maybe in the map, but you got to pay to have that top spot. Then you got people also ask, and when you go to organic, you get a bunch of dealers who are not anywhere near you, right? Like I'm not buying in Alaska or Hawaii. After the July core update, I actually tweeted at Danny Sullivan and I was like, why are you giving me sites for India and the UK? I'm not buying a car from there and having it shipped to Florida. Now, I know they're paying attention because that disappeared. But what has not changed, and I have yelled it all over Twitter for almost a year now, why do I keep seeing dealers from other states in organic? So I'm not saying I'm not like a tinfoil hat type of person, but either Google's AI, what they're using, or their algorithm is broken, which I know they fixed the international thing. They're just not fixing this.
Right.
So are they going to force dealers to advertise to show up in their local area? Are they trying to force the users to relearn how to use the search engine? So did you only use the paid where they're going to make money? I don't like this. This goes against everything Google says. And what's also irritating is they have dealers, and I know you've seen this, some companies just put the same content on every dealer website. Right? Like they'll create articles on their blog, and they're the same on 900 car dealer sites.
Right. Yeah.
And Google is ranking them in a row for the same content. And it's like, you have to think.
Which totally goes against everything that Google says that they do and want you to do.
Like I told Lily Ray, I think it was Lily or Marie Haynes, I was like, the whole eat YMYL thing is obviously a lie. Because the car dealers locally who are like, XYZ for this area kind of content, they're not showing up at all. They have to pay to show up. So I don't think this Google, what do I call it now? My business, my profile, whatever.
Google business profile. Yeah.
It's not going to help people unless the user learns how to click on the map, go to the dealer. That's not what they're looking for. What did we learn from the very beginning? Users are not going to overwork to find what they want.
Sure.
Google is basically forcing you to do that, or just click on our ad. So to me, it's crappy, and it's really crappy to do it to car dealers at a time like this where they have lost substantial money because they have no cars. Like a couple of dealerships here have cut staff, 70% are gone. That's how bad. And then now on top of that, you're going to make them pay.
Yeah.
I think it's crappy, but
to move product they don't have.
Exactly. Right. So when they finally do get a car and they might actually make a little money that will keep somebody employed, you're going to make them pay. I'm frustrated because everything I've taught everybody over the years seems to have been disregarded. Is there local search anymore? Not for car dealers, there's not. So that's not right. That's my rant.
No, I appreciate that, because I think it, it really speaks to this whole sort of split personality that Google seems to have, where they're telling you one thing in all of their documentation and all of their advice and whatnot, and then the results are completely something different. And so it's like, okay, well, is Google lying, or are they, what's going on here?
How much more money do they need to make is my
Well,
question,
yeah, there's that
right?
too.
I mean,
Right.
it's not like you lost money in the pandemic and you're just screwing over another huge industry
Yep.
and the individual dealers. And when you ask John, you, Gary, and Danny, and they are radio silent, that tells you something.
Yeah.
They just will not respond to the question. So, not that I want to hurt my friendship with anybody. I'm just saying you guys won't respond, and yes, I'm mad.
It's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, like, well, it's not us, so we're not going to worry about it. Well, but it's going to be, because if they make that, and that's kind of where I was going with my question is, if this is seen as a success by Google, who's next?
Right. But you remember the whole YMYL thing, right? We want our users to get good information and make a good buying choice. There's no good information for them because they won't even allow an honest review to show up. Okay. There's no more reviews. You have to actually search for reviews and other keywords to get a review to come up. So there's no information for them to learn about the vehicle. So how are they going to know? You're basically forcing them to just keep digging, which we used to have to do in the old days. And they made it easier for us. Oh, it's local. There you go. There's my car dealership right there. I'll go to that one. So it's little things like that go against everything they've told us for years.
So that kind of is a perfect segue into the last thing I want to talk about here, which is, we're now seeing people purchasing cars completely different, which we've talked about. They're buying cars without ever setting a foot in a showroom.
Yep.
I mean, what do you see as the future of car buying? Are we all gonna, test drive cars in the metaverse? I mean, what is the future of car buying, and in general, just as an add-on, do you think that with Google's sort of tomfoolery here, that the market may force something completely different and unique to happen, which would be kind of cool?
A lot of people do like the idea of buying completely online. They think they know this is everything I want in a car. I'm fine. I am one of those people that trades every 18 to 24 months until this chip shortage. I buy a lot of cars. So I like to sit in it, feel it, look at it. It's kind of like trying on shoes. There's nothing worse than ordering shoes and have to keep shipping them back.
Oh, yeah.
I fear we're going to end up like we have a Tesla dealership here in the mall. You can go sit in it. You can look at it, right? There's no dealer.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to move into that, and then people are going to regret it. Maybe we'll move to there's car dealers that have all the cars on the lot, and you can go test drive them, and then you order them. And we're kind of at that point right now. Like you can't necessarily buy a car or even test drive a car because there's a wait.
Yeah.
So you just have to order it and hope you like it. Yes, people are always going to move towards buying online, but I don't think it's going to bring the satisfaction and the for sure I'm happy with my buying choice doing that. Some people are. Some people are like, I rode in my friend's car, I test drove it, I liked it. Then you can order online and it doesn't matter. But my concern for the car dealers is, and I don't know if people understand, you have to buy the lot, you have to build the building.
Yeah.
They owe tens of millions of dollars on that dealership that they got to pay off. So if we put them out of business, we're putting tons of people out of business, right?
It's a huge industry.
It's huge. So while I understand, the whole Amazon thing, we all order everything on Amazon, but we're also getting a lot of crap products. You never know, right? So I think with cars, we have to let people feel and touch and test the features. The good example is I love head-up display. It's my thing. My dad got the Escalade. He hated the head-up display, so he sold the car. People love their features so much that they need to actually see it. He hadn't seen it. The car, he had to order it. They couldn't fix it for him. So you have to think of it that way. And then you have people who are like, I don't care as long as I have a car. The younger industry, like my youngest son is 18, and he's like, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what brand it is. I want it to function, not need to be fixed all the time. Okay, good.
Right.
That's what he's told me. I don't care. And I'm like, how do you not care? He does not care. And we're seeing that with that younger generation. It's a different kind of, they don't care about brands. Like,
do you think, you know, so Auto Trader is one of your products, and, you know, it's a website, but it's also a very popular app. I mean, do you think car buying is going to continue to go into an app experience? Yes. And then you're going to have to get into things like App Store optimization and that sort of thing. And maybe that's the future. Maybe that's where things are heading away from the traditional just search and find it on Google and buy it on the web to a completely sort of contained experience within an app.
Right. I mean, I'm not telling any industry secrets. You can go to SEMrush and type in Auto Trader or as a keyword, car gurus, and look at the number of people who that's the first thing they type into Google. They don't care about looking on Google. They just want to go here. The brands have built a safe reputation. So yeah, the app is huge. And I don't know if you've noticed, I mean, we're working on the Auto Trader app to enhance it and make it better all the time.
I love it.
But yeah, you're going to have an app, and you're going to have everything functioning correctly to allow people quicker steps to buy a vehicle. We have to eliminate. And if you've ever bought one, I mean, you're in that freaking finance office for hours. It's like a 5-6 hour deal to buy a car. People learned in the pandemic, I don't have to do that. So they liked it. So everybody has to change and function how they do everything, like, because people don't want to waste their time.
Yep.
You know? Yep. So it's going to be, everything's always constantly changing. I'm just worried for the auto industry as a whole, is how is this going to impact dealers? They're always going to need a parts department and a service department, but you still got to sell cars. I don't want to get in a situation where I can't test drive a car before I buy. That scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, we saw in the pandemic, people were buying houses without actually setting foot in them. I mean, it's like everything just flipped upside down. It's craziness.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, I think for me, I think the next, you know, 2 to 5 years are going to be very interesting to see kind of, you know, what sticks and what doesn't. And, you know, I think, you know, apps are always popular, but then you get into things like App Store optimization, and then you get into things like user experience. And, you know, it's no longer like, let's do an app. You know, there's so much more that goes into that experience and what you're putting together there for the user. It's crazy.
And if you think about what you know to look at in the app, my mom isn't going to know how to go and filter, right? Yep. So how do we, I mean, you're gonna have to make an app that's good for John, who knows how to go in and filter this and filter that. And then also for my mom, who's like, just show me, because I don't know what to click, right?
Yep.
That's a lot of stress. It's a lot to think about for engineers. I mean,
or my mom, who talks into her phone. She came up to visit a couple of weeks ago, and we're sitting there watching TV, and I said, do you know who that actor is? And she's like, no. I said, that's the guy from Ozark. And she's like, no. And then she spent the next 10 minutes. Who is the actor that play?
Yeah. Okay. My mom's good with that. I'll give you a good example. My mom loves Netflix, but Hulu's interface,
it's awful.
Can't find, and she's Melissa, where is it on Hulu? I can't. And
I hate Hulu's interface.
Click the magnifying glass. And she's like, it won't let me click it. And I'm like, well, you have to do this to get to click it. And they do make it very hard.
Yeah.
But I spent 10 minutes trying not to scream into the phone the other day. Like, But that's a good example of what we're talking about. Netflix has done it right. Hulu has a lot of great shows, but man, do they make it a pain to find it. Like, so that's going to be the same thing for cars and every other thing, shopping, shoes, travel. You know, I think Southwest is great. Their app is fantastic and easy.
Say who's that? I'm sorry.
Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but
well, and that's great advice. I mean, that's a great tip for, you know, a small to medium-sized business who's thinking about building an app or thinking about retooling their website, is look at the ones that are brand names like Netflix. You know, sure, you don't have a Netflix budget, but there's a lot of UX things that you can, you know, certainly take cues from or borrow from or steal, you know, and try to retool them for your audience, for your purposes. So that's great advice. Absolutely.
With the way Google's going now, do you think small to medium businesses have a shot?
I mean,
without paying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. And I honestly, I think it's going to be harder and harder for them. And I mean, we are still able to get SEO results for our clients and small businesses, but it depends on the industry. It depends on the audience. It depends on, you know, what's going on. But if Google keeps doing stuff like they're doing with this pilot program, it's gonna, I mean, it's just consistently over time turn into a pay to play.
It is, and it's so
situation,
hard
and it's frustrating.
I'm looking forward to Apple's announcement on the 8th.
I'm very curious, and I am not an Apple fan. I've made that very public over the years. But I've been saying for a long time, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that Google needs some real competition, because right now they can do whatever the hell they want, and who's going to do anything? It's Google.
I'm sorry, but if Apple makes an easy to use search engine, my parents are going to use it, because they're constantly, I can't find it on Google. I can't find it on Google.
Yeah.
And I can't be the only kid who gets that.
Well, and everybody's got an iPhone. So it's just like, it's a seamless experience. If, you know, I mean, that's the love it or hate it. It's what I hate about Apple, is everything is a contained universe, and you have to, you know, use their stuff the way that they want you to, which drives me insane. But for a lot of people, they don't have to think. You know, It just works. It just does what they're used to, and they're used to the interface, and they're used to the functionality. So I'm with you. I'm very curious to see how all that pans out. Hopefully it gives Google a run for their money.
I mean, if you
they tried it with Maps and failed, but we'll see.
Digital marketers, if that works out, I mean, this is job security, because we are going to now have to study a whole new thing while managing Google. So it'll be interesting. But
we'll always have job security, because it's constantly changing.
It's constantly changing, but it's sad for me to watch small businesses suffer.
Yeah.
You know, the individual car dealer, the guy who finally got the money and got a franchise, is now getting screwed over by Google. Yeah. I know what it takes, the financial, what they owe, and I'm sad for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, Google has no mercy for anyone. So,
well, okay. So let's wrap this up on a positive note. I'm going to spin it this way. Perhaps, and I am an optimist, that all of this is, and Apple's announcement and all of this and the pandemic and everything that's gone on is going to be the thing that breaks us out of this sort of rut that we've been in the digital marketing world for so long, where everything is, you know, Google and Facebook, or Google and this, or whatever. Maybe we'll see some real competition, and we'll start to see some innovation, which is what's been sorely missing, I think, in our industry, in the internet in general. Web 3.0, or whatever you want to call it, you know, metaverse, whatever.
I've been waiting. I hope that the end of this core update, maybe they'll surprise me and fix it all. And if they do, I apologize, you know, but so far I haven't seen anything shift. So, you know, but we'll be positive. And if not, we'll pivot and find other ways to bring people traffic. And there's lots of ways to bring people traffic.
Well, that's the silver lining, is that smart digital marketers are always figure out a way.
Yep.
That's why people pay us the big bucks, is we'll say, well, yeah, you used to do really well by doing that 5 years ago, but now you need to do this.
Yep. Job security.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. There's some absolutely great information in here, and I know people get a lot out of it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.